Hi there, Jill and Emily. We're back again. And you know what? This is part two in a quick discussion we're having. If you want to keep your business small, what are the things you really need to have in place? Like, what are the big essentials? So, we talked about a few things last time. Now, let me have three more things we want to get you to think about. And one of them is having your um, policies in place. Jill, tell
Yeah.
us about that.
And so in Tutor Success Academy, we have handbooks, we have policy sheets, we have agreements, we have a couple different types of ways that you can do this. But if you're keeping your business small, you can keep your policies small too. However, I still want you to think about what types of policies do you want to put in place? Because even if you're only working with 4 families, if you're constantly getting cancellations, that's still going to disrupt your business. It's going to disrupt your revenue.
Yeah.
It's going to disrupt that child's learning progression, right? So think through some of the basic policies that you still need, and then have them just on a simple document that families can read and they can sign. And so this can include things like cancellations, whether you want to give them a time frame or what that's going to look like, payment, so when is payment due, and late arrivals. Like those 3 right there are some really very basic policies that everybody should have something set up for. And if you live up north, like Emily does, you might want to have a winter weather policy as well.
Definitely have to have that in place. Yes, those are some basics that actually will make your life so much easier, get your business running super smoothly. The next one we talk about is the physical space. So when you're off to the races, ready to start tutoring, you need to make sure that you have all the logistical parts ready to go. You know where you're tutoring, whether it's going to be on the road, going to people's homes, or in a public space like the library, or you have a physical space completely set up in your own living space, or you've rented an office space. So think about that. Think about the best financial aspects of that. What are the benefits of being able to rent an office space? If you only have maybe 3 or 4 families, that might not be the best fit for you.
Right.
Maybe it makes much more sense to think about, do I have a space in my home where I feel like, yes, I could offer that for students to come and work with me here. If you don't have space in your home, maybe there's a space that you can either share with someone else, like to sublet in some way, or share the rent with another professional. Or if you really want to see if people don't mind you going to their homes. There are a lot of different options for this physical space that you want to use. I've even rented classroom space from private schools, and that has worked out financially for me in the past when I didn't have my own office space. So really give that a lot of time and think about the essential supplies that you need. You don't need a ton of fancy decor. You don't have to break the bank on that. It's about you and the supplies that work well to get the most progress for your students.
Yes.
So,
and this applies even if you have an
really
online business.
Yes.
Same thing.
Yes. Thank you.
Streamline
Jill.
your materials, right? Like figure out what you need. Yes.
Right. Especially with online, because a lot of the tools that you want to be able to use in your business can be fun and interactive, but think about what you're really going to use the most. For me personally, I use my document camera a lot. So that was something I knew I had to invest money in up front if I was going to be tutoring online. But, there may not be a lot. You may not have to put a lot of money into big fancy subscriptions to things that you might not use as much. So
Very true.
definitely think something to think about. Thank you for bringing that up, Jill. Okay.
Absolutely.
And the third one.
Yes. A plan for communicating with parents. So when you run your private tutoring business, even if you have a small business, you simply have to decide, how are you going to communicate progress? Now, when we are teachers in school, we feel like communication has to look certain ways. It has to look like a form. But when you're working for yourself, you can decide, are you going to have more informal conversations with those families, maybe at the end of a session once a week, where you sit down and show them what the child is doing and the skills they're working on, and, match it to their goals and things like that? Or if that's not something either you're comfortable with that being your way of sharing, or if maybe you don't see the parents as much, then you might want to have some written type of form that you are going to send out, and just decide how often you want to send it out, because you'll want to communicate that with parents. So from the beginning, they need to know, are they getting a detailed email at the end of every single tutoring session explaining in minutia what you did, which we do not recommend. That is way too much. Or can you do maybe a monthly report or a quarterly report where you share the progress that that child's making? So just decide what makes sense for you, and then make sure that you communicate those expectations so that parents will know when they will hear about their child's progress.
Absolutely. Excellent tips. So if you didn't get a chance to check part one of this two-part little mini series, make sure that you do. Any questions, pop them in the comments below, and be sure to stick with us for more tips.
Yes. And just remember that you do not have to have a big tutoring business to be successful. Your tutoring business should be a good fit for you. And so if you have a small business, make it the best small tutoring business you can, and run it in a way that it works well for your families, but that it especially works well for you too. So thank you for joining us.